After being pushed back more than a year and reshot several times over, Captain America Brave New World is now just under a month away from release. Yet there would appear to be very little audience interest in Marvel's upcoming would-be blockbuster. Pre-sales are lackluster, which likely has Disney freaking out, and if rumors are to be believed, they are taking the duck and cover approach, as we are about to see in this breakdown of the hottest news and rumors surrounding Marvel's upcoming flop. Let's dive in. Let's begin with the numbers, for the outlook for Captain America Brave New World's box office is quite bleak. How bleak, you wonder? Well, we have an idea. As Cosmic Book News pointed out in their headline, Captain America Brave New World's ticket sales on par with Eternals, with the byline, "It is reported that pre-sale tickets for Captain America Brave New World are on par with that of Eternals, which opened to 71 million. Yeah, that's a bad thing. The story continues. Eternals is considered one of the MCU's biggest busts, with a 402 million box office gross. There also won't be an Eternals 2, and recently it was learned that the same producer behind Eternals and Captain America Brave New World is exiting Marvel, meaning he was fired. It's also been reported that Brave New World has gone through multiple reshoots, ballooning its budget to 350 million or more, much higher than that of Eternals. The article goes on to report of empty theaters, and then shows a tweet from Luis Fernando stating, "Yeah, Captain America Brave New World had its pre-sales kickoff on Friday at US box office. After 2 days of pre-sales, although nowhere near Quantumania, which opened on the same weekend in 2023, Captain America Brave New World is currently 1.4 times better than the Marvels and Joker Folie à Deux, on par with Eternals and not that far from Black Widow and Dune Part 2 after their first 2 days of pre-sales." Keeping the same pacing in relation to other films, Captain America 4 could be securing a 3-day opening above both the original Thor and Captain America the First Avenger, and could even challenge Shang-Chi's 3-day opening, which was higher than Eternals thanks to positive word of mouth and Labor Day holiday boost. Similar to what Captain America 4 will also benefit, especially on Sunday. But Captain America 4 has an advantage none of those films had. It's coming right after Deadpool and Wolverine, which certainly brought the MCU back to several casuals' radar, and that alone could help Cap 4 to achieve stronger walk-ups than its comparisons ever could. Well, one has to admire Lewis' comparisons to the original Thor and Captain America the First Avenger, two Phase 1 films that are a decade and a half old by now, and which date back to before most audiences had any clue they were even connected. Shang-Chi and Eternals territory is where this movie is likely going to land, or worse, as pointed out by our friend with a positive outlook, because he seems to think that Deadpool and Wolverine's recent success will boost the box office considerably. If I were a betting man, I would not bet on that. I'd be more inclined to believe Captain America 4 will let the world know that Deadpool and Wolverine was a fluke. But now, Marvel is back to its usual garbage, which audiences are wise to. Let's see why. The fall-off of not just the MCU, but superhero fare in general is really down to a perfect storm of ideology and stupidity, or a perfect shitstorm, if you will. Arguably, comic book and superhero films could have lasted as sturdy tentpoles well into the next decade and beyond, if they continued to be managed well. But, because of ideology, greed, and arrogance, they weren't. So now, not just superhero films, but IP-driven films in general are on the brink, as almost none were spared of the virtue-signaling insanity of the last half a decade. The big problem for Disney and Marvel in particular is that although they reportedly are trying to right the ship behind the scenes now, they already have a backlog of brand-destroying DEI-driven activist productions already in the can that have to be released before anything worthwhile is on the horizon. Things like Ironheart, The Thunderbolts, and then finally Fantastic Four Baby Steps, featuring gender-bent Silver Surfette. And lest we forget, Wonder Man. The one ray of hope here is Daredevil, which was halfway done before they scrapped it and started over as Season 4 of the Netflix series. But honestly, everything waiting to be released needed to be similarly scrapped and redone. Well, granted, Captain America 4 has been redone several times over, but the fundamental problems there are so great that they simply may not be possible to overcome. And on that note, all of these upcoming Marvel productions have another major hurdle to overcome as well. The perhaps biggest challenge for all of the upcoming MCU movies is that one way or the other, they're all sequels to shitty Disney Plus TV shows. Shows that, in the bigger scheme of things, no one saw. Like, independently of each other, both Captain America 4 and the Thunderbolts builds on the events of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. If you haven't seen that, both of those movies will be confusing. Still, we're all supposed to forget about that and get excited for Captain America 4 because it has Red Hulk. But I have to wonder just how popular Red Hulk really is. Personally, I can't stand the character, and I consider his introduction to be the point where Hulk comics jumped the shark and became both unreadable as well as unnecessarily complex to follow. But that's me. If you like Red Hulk, let me know why in the comments. But even those who are excited for Red Hulk may end up disappointed, as our good friends over at that Park Place are reporting that the Red Hulk is only showing up in the movie for a mere 5 minutes. If that's true, even the fans of the character are going to be pissed. And this rumor is actually rather plausible, since the movie has undergone so many reshoots now that it reportedly doesn't even resemble the original version, with some of the original cast being cut out altogether, like WWE star Seth Rollins. Another challenge facing Marvel is of course the compound effect of the previous problems, namely oversaturation. What basically killed the westerns in Hollywood as a genre, beside the space race and sci-fi craze, was the fact that 80% of productions were westerns by the time the balloon burst. Now of course, the genre would limp into the 70s through television and a few features, but not at the level it had in prior decades. For comic book movies, this was completely avoidable, so Hollywood were the architects of their own destruction on this one, with the aforementioned perfect shitstorm. And then streaming has only made matters so much worse. My colleague Tom often points out, like how Disney destroyed the Disney Vault by putting The Little Mermaid next to the straight-to-DVD sequels on Disney+. Making the streaming series as important as the movies makes the movies no more important than the streaming series, which is not all that important at all. Captain America Brave New World was projected to open below 100 million at the box office, but I think the actual number will be much lower than that. And given the bloated budget, that would be a disaster, both in the short term and in the longer term, as the whole brand is at stake here. So, are you excited for the upcoming Captain America with a glorified cameo featuring Red Hulk? Let us know in the comments.